What has entrepreneurship taught you that the law school never taught you?
You don't need permission. Just consistent daily progress towards a goal is a far more powerful tool than anything else or practice in my life.
Alan, how has your relationship with money evolved over time?
It's not about money, it's about value. When you only have 6 eggs in the refrigerator, each egg is much more valuable, right? First time I pitched that startup to an investor, the investor passed, but he gave me a great thing to read. He said, I think you need to go out and read.
People talking about AI gonna take over the world. Since you're working with one of the top 6-7 companies, what's your view on AI? Where are we heading towards?
You know, I don't pretend to have an answer to that.
Alan Lewis, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Alan, I've seen how you have been a lawyer for over 30 plus years. You've worked in such beautiful companies from Blade to GitHub to Adobe, and now you're currently a legal counsel for OpenAI. How is OpenAI a different company than all those past companies or law firms that you've worked with?
Yeah, it's a great question. Amit, first, thank you for having me. It's different and it's not, right? I mean, part of the joy of working in Silicon Valley and around it for so many years is you get this opportunity to work with really smart people, really effective people. OpenAI is full of them, right? Like, I mean, that's part of what it's not unlike the time I spent a brief amount of time on a contract basis working with Apple in-house. And it's similar in that it's kind of like breathing pure oxygen. You're working with some people who are some of the best in the world at what they do. And that's kind of a rare thing, even in Silicon Valley. The thing that I'm noticing that's different about OpenAI is that it's built from the beginning, it seems, for distributed work and a distributed workforce. So the tools that are at our disposal enable us to work seamlessly from just about anywhere. I mean, Slack is just everywhere and ubiquitous. It's how everybody gets things done there. That's one of the things that are different,
So
right?
you mentioned about density of smartest people is the most beautiful in these big companies, Apple, Google, OpenAI, and other big companies. Density of smartest people in the same room, and the giving the tools to you, which are helping you work from anywhere and everywhere. Apart from Slack, what other tools make you massively efficient?
Yeah. So, like a lot of in-house teams now, I'm seeing that they're leveraging platforms that a lot of my other clients are leveraging that would not be atypical to see, Ironclad and other things, right? Um, and we're, the internal IT systems there are so profoundly well managed that I think we're there's a lot going on under the hood there that I don't even have visibility into that just makes my life as a practicing member of the team easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So their InfoSec team is exquisitely knowledgeable and talented, right? And because they're managing data sets for sovereign funds and for clients that, where those kinds of table stakes are just
Massive.
massive, right?
Yeah, yeah. So tell us about, since you have spent almost 30 plus years as a lawyer, Alan, tell us about the hardest season for you as a lawyer and what did it teach you?
Yeah, also a great question. So there there have been a couple of instances that I can recall. One was in the early to mid 90s. Um, I was serving as a senior associate in a multinational large law firm in the Bay Area, working for an extremely demanding business law partner there, doing wind energy project finance. Um, the level of sort of burnout that we experienced as associates was very real, right? And yet it was also the kind of environment that, not unlike going to a gym and getting a really hard workout in every day, you kind of hated it while you're doing it. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you knew you had been somewhere really valuable, and you were learning and growing, right? So that was a hard season. I won't kid you. Um, Another really difficult inflection point for me was, after I made the decision to go in-house, and then I ended up out on my own, running my own law practice. My wife and I were pregnant with twin boys. I was starting my journey as a as an entrepreneur as well as a lawyer, right? And I was diagnosed with stage 3 stomach cancer. Even as I was in the process of bringing my first bootstrapped startup to market, and that was a that was something I don't encourage anybody to go through, right? But it was an inflection point, right? You either get through it or you don't.
So this is very intense and deep, Alan. You went through as an associate, of course, you were being grilled and you were being tortured perhaps by your senior, but he was teaching you in the process and going through this medical uh, phenomena, stomach cancer. This is very unfortunate, but all these things are also teach us a lot. They tell us a
Yes.
lot about us, and they are happening for a reason. Everything is happening for us, not to us. Life is happening for us, not happening to us. And any problem comes to us is for a reason. So, what exactly this medical problem taught you?
Yeah. So, the medical thing, I love that lens that you just brought to it, Amit. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius and others, um, have this saying, the obstacle is the way, right? When we're confronted by karma or whatever with a difficulty, an adversity, the more we lean into it, it's an opportunity for learning, right? So what I don't know that cancer can teach one anything other than grit. And it's amazing to me that I think what I learned going through that is I'm stronger than I thought I was, right? Like, you can get through more than you believe you can. Look, I'm the son and grandson of Hungarian Holocaust survivors, right? Imagine what they survived, right? And my father's father came to this country as a 20-year-old with $20 in his pocket, right? Right after the First World War. There were times when he was starving, right? And so whatever I've been through, it's not that level of adversity, right? So I've been blessed really with opportunities to just, I had a friend of mine who's a Harvard trained doctor, a dear friend of mine, who, when we found out I was going through this cancer, this late stage cancer diagnosis, the doctors literally looked at me at UCSF and said, look, we're of the opinion we're going to cure your cancer. So my friend John said to me, wow, Alan, I guess what you're going to have to do is just put your head down and get through it. And that's what we did. And working for Peter Sheets at this law firm was much the same thing. If you just put your head down and get through it, and try to learn and take what you can from this teacher, you're going to learn.
Beautiful, beautiful. And to, especially today when there's so much of happening around us, I think it's very important to just keep doing the boring thing. Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, unless you just make it. So that's a big lesson. Thank you so much, Alan, for that.
Sure.
Alan, one thing I learned is was mistake don't define us, they refine us.
Yes.
Tell us about one or two mistakes that you have made which have refined you into a more mature person, more mature lawyer.
Wow. There have been many, right? Like a mantra of mine, Amit, is you might aspire to perfection, but it's really all about progress, not perfection. And a huge change for me during that first bootstrapped startup when I had to separate from my initial co-founder. We just we discovered we weren't a good fit. And rather than abandon the project, I realized, okay, I need to adjust and iterate and keep going. It gave me an opportunity to learn things I didn't know. I had never done agile project management methodology before. A friend of mine who now runs engineering teams at Salesforce taught me the rudiments of agile project management methodology in a long weekend. And I used that with my new dev team to help get that product to market, right? So I guess what I'm saying is it, and my first, I'll also tell you this story. The first time I pitched that startup to an investor, the investor passed, but he gave me a great thing to read. He said, I think you need to go out and read The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. I highly recommend it to lawyers and entrepreneurs. It's all about understanding the value of having an MVP, a minimally viable product. It's all about learning from your mistakes. They're not mistakes, they're lessons, they're data points. And the more we can treat these as data points to learn from and less mistakes, the better.
That's very powerful. They're not mistakes, they are lessons. And yeah, somebody said you either win or you will learn. You never
Yes.
fail. If
y-
you only fail when you fail to learn.
Right. If you stop trying, that's the failure. Right. Yeah. Naval Ravikant, and those guys, if you look at the successful entrepreneurs in the Valley and beyond, we see their successes from the sidelines and we think that those magically happened overnight. They almost never did. What you're not seeing are like the 6 or 7 times that they didn't succeed before they eventually did. They just kept going and
Absolutely.
learning.
Absolutely. My son is a very good chess player. He's about 8 years old. And what happened was he was playing chess, and the other side had a rook, had a queen, and couple of other players. He was only left with his king, and the king was moving along, like moving along, and they were giving him he was giving him getting a lot of checks. And I told him, continue playing, don't give up, continue playing. We were playing an online chess. At the end, it was a stalemate. It was not a checkmate. If you get a stalemate, which means your king cannot move anywhere, you don't get any negative points. It's basically a draw. And
Right.
it was a draw. He didn't lose any points. Other party lost about 2 points, -2. And I asked him, and he was very happy. He was about to lose, but it was a draw. And I asked him, "Do you know why it was a draw? Why? Actually, it's a win for you. It's not even a draw. It's a win for you." I asked him, "Do you know why it's a win?" He said, "Because he gave me a stalemate." I said, "No, it was a win because you kept playing.
Right.
It was a win because the person who wins is the person who keeps playing. It's not a person who dies or the person who if you want to win, just keep playing. Just keep playing.
Ye
Keep playing.
yeah, I mean, look, I haven't had a successful exit yet as an entrepreneur. I'm on to my 3rd bootstrap startup, even as I practice every day, and serve clients. But, I still have a chance, right, to succeed because I'm still going, even at
Absolutely.
63, right?
Beautiful, beautiful. Love that. Love that. Tell us about, since you're talking about entrepreneurship and you're also working on Deal Diligence, your new AI startup. Tell us about Deal Diligence, how it's gonna solve the problems of lawyers, of M&A
Yeah.
lawyers.
So, it's interesting. This is an example of, learning from the signal you're getting from the market, right? I started this DealDiligence.ai is an AI native law firm that is laser focused on performing due diligence services initially for the M&A practitioners in private equity, for, corporate development, and ultimately even law firms that want to outsource to us. Um, and eventually we'll move into other verticals and perform legal due diligence for things like commercial lending. But initially it was conceived as a product that like a legal tech SaaS product I wanted to sell to law firms. And what I found is the law firms were really slow in making decisions, even after they made decisions and validated, yes, we want to become an MVP design collaborator. They wouldn't. Um, I started to see others in the market who are making this pivot to AI native services. I thought, let's try that. And so that's where we are today. We're going to, I built a successful practice. Clients trust me and know my work, and I've done a ton of due diligence. So we're going to be using it. It's a collaborative platform that will leverage uh, agile project management methodology to help due diligence teams perform due diligence seamlessly and more rapidly and more powerfully.
Beautiful, beautiful. Tell us about what lawyer instinct you had to kill to become a CEO.
Um, the instinct for perfection, right? Um, we lawyers are kind of inculcated into this culture of fear. It's a fear-based culture. We don't want to make a mistake, like we've said. And look, I appreciate that. Like, I was taught by some of the best lawyers to have very high standards of my work product, right? To always, you know, serve the client. Those are very important values. But as an entrepreneur, you can still serve something bigger than yourself and understand it doesn't have to be perfect. You need to get something out there and then iterate and get signal from the market and learn from that,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm. So I was one of my mentor were telling me, you know what, perfection is the lowest standard. Aim for progress.
Yes,
Prog-
exactly.
Progress makes you happy, not perfection. Because perfection, you can never achieve perfection, and something which is perfect for you is not perfect for somebody else. So still, it is not perfect. But if you have
Right.
made progress, progress makes you happy. Progress in your relationship, progress in your business, progress in your health, progress in all other areas, progress in your company. Progress is should be the goal, not perfection.
I agree entirely. One of the things as I was, you know, contemplating and meditating on this interview, this podcast, one of the things you asked me to think about is what are one of the habits that you engage in, right? And I've started to learn that, like, just making and I've learned this kind of late in life, just consistent daily progress towards a goal is a far more powerful tool than anything else in or practice in my life. You know, there's this saying in Buddhism, I believe, that like what do we do before enlightenment? We chop wood and carry water, right? And what do we do after enlightenment? We chop wood and carry water. So, like, you know, i- um, I've got certain strategic goals for deal diligence. I can lay my head down on the pillow and it's been a good day at the end of the day if I've just made some incremental progress
What's their
toward.
goal? What's their goal, Alan? If you can share with us.
Yeah, the goal is um, to have deal diligence delighting clients in the private equity space, like to be the go-to due diligence provider
Mm,
for private equity.
beautiful, beautiful. What has been the most difficult challenge for you as an entrepreneur?
Um, getting out of my own way, really, Amit, like giving myself permission to make mistakes, to be to dare to do it, you know, to try something that is outside of my own perception of what my lane ought to be.
That's very powerful, Alan. Most founders fail to even realize it, but we need to get out of our own way. If you can tell me, give me one example. You also mentioned that, you know what, we limit ourselves. We have some beliefs that we cannot do this, and you know what, those beliefs are stopping us. They are our hindrance. Our internal enemy is more powerful than external enemy. There is no external enemy. There's only an internal enemy. If there is no internal enemy, the external enemy cannot do anything to you. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. A friend of mine who I grew up with is like a brother, right? And I asked him for an introduction to prospective investors. And for a number of reasons, he just perceived me as a lawyer, not as an entrepreneur. I don't want to do that reputational risk. And then I found other people who knew me as a lawyer and appreciated my contribution as a lawyer, also could see my value as an entrepreneur um, and had absolutely no hesitation about introducing me to people they knew because they loved my work as a lawyer. I mean, this guy had not, he knew me as a friend, but he hadn't really experienced my value as a lawyer, right? Another way to look at this is to stop being so self-absorbed. Like it's not about me, Amit. It's about the value that it's about the business idea and the value that business idea can deliver to its intended market. I'll tell you who taught me the most about that, an entrepreneur and CEO named Sri Ambati at H2O. Sri is a brilliant entrepreneur. He's a really difficult manager. He's a difficult personality, but he's a brilliant marketeer. He's a brilliant data scientist and a brilliant entrepreneur. And part of why he's so brilliant, I believe, is because he's laser focused on how what he does delivers value to his clients. He can he's concerned about how predictive analytics in AI can produce very real positive business results for his clients, right? And so the when I use that lens to focus myself, it's all about how deal diligence can produce a valuable deliverable to the intended market.
Mm,
And then it's all about, you know, solving that problem.
mm, beautiful. What's one habit which makes you unusually efficient and effective?
Um, this may sound strange, but I think there are two. One is on a personal level. I I love transcendental meditation, right? I try to practice it. I don't try. I practice it every day, right? Usually for 20 minutes a day, and if I'm doing it right, twice a day for 20 minutes. And what it does is it gives me the ability to pause in a moment and detach briefly in my interpersonal relationships, in anything. The the other the other habit on a micro level, I think, um, is listening deeply and thoroughly, right, to clients, to business partners, to my wife, right, to others, whoever I'm engaging with. Um, it's hard for me to hear them and what's really going on when I'm already formulating my own defense or my own next. I'm involved in myself and my
Hmm.
own objectives.
Mm. Listening deeply actually is the best communication method. Listening deeply means one is listening, one is somebody is hearing, somebody is listening, and somebody is connecting while they are listening. So what you're saying is connecting with the person and not just listening.
Amen. Yes, exactly. That. Yes.
Uh, Tell us the best advice you ever received.
Oh my gosh. Some of the best advice I received actually was from that really difficult senior lawyer who I worked for. His name was Peter Sheets. He's no longer alive, but man, he was brilliant. And um, he offered to support me for partnership in this large firm that I was in. And I was so miserable at the time, and I was watching all these young lawyers go in-house. That's what I wanted to do, right? And when I announced to him that I was doing that, he was upset at first, but he eventually I went out, I went in-house, and then I started my own law firm, and I came back to Peter and said, "I'm starting my own firm." And the best advice he gave me was, there will be clients who are not the right fit for you. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to have boundaries. I was desperate for work when I first started out, and he gave me the advice to never underprice yourself, right? To recognize your own value and that there's a value for what you do in the market. And don't forget that. So, increasingly for young lawyers, uh, if someone can't fund your retainer today, they're probably not going to be in a position to pay you 30 days from now when your invoice comes due. It's that maybe they're not the right fit for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I also learned this lesson very late in my life, running a law of IP firm for last 7 years. Now we are not working with smaller clients who are not able to value their IP. If they don't value their IP, they will not value us.
Yes.
So similarly, that if they're not going to value their legal work, they will not value their lawyer. So you go to people who value the importance of what they are doing, and only then they will value the consultants who are coming on board for solving that problem. What's the worst advice you ever received, Alan?
Um, I, I was thinking about that before this. Um, it's a two-sided coin because in certain contexts, it's actually very good advice. Stay in your lane, right? Like, on the one hand, sometimes for lawyers, it's very important to stay in our lane,
What,
right?
what, what does it mean? Stay in lane means focus or just keep doing one
Yeah,
thing?
focus on the legal risk or risk mitigation. But often what I'm finding, Amit, is that the clients who who value me the most, they value me for my business advice and counseling ability. They value me for the ability to get through blockers in a negotiation, right? Um, so staying and also how do you do that? You do that as a young lawyer. It's not necessarily in your lane, you might think, to learn the most you can learn about the product that you're there to sell or to help close, right? But it actually is your job to do that, right? Like the more you can learn about what the product team, how they're building it, it helps you sell it in a negotiation.
Hmm.
It helps you advocate for what your client needs.
Hmm. But you have tried so many different things. Do you think you are staying in your lane?
No, no, I think I'm not. I mean, sometimes I do, but when I'm in the very specific role of um, a commercial lawyer, right? And I can understand that there are others who have decisions they need to make, and sometimes you're going to have to give somebody your opinion, and they might not like it, right? Or but then again, we're not the department. The legal department's never the department of no. We're the department of no, but here's another way to do this, or yes, and we should do, yes, we can do that as long as we do these three things, right? To mitigate risk. So um, there are subtleties there.
Mm. Sure, sure. Tell us, Alan, how has your relationship with money evolved over time?
Wow, that's a great question. Uh, it's interesting. I had the very great fortune when I was growing up to um, be born into a family that provided everything I needed: love and guidance and education and all the material stuff, right? Um, I lacked the tools as a young adult to manage the resources that were given to me, right? And as a result, ended up with little to no money. Um, and that was hard, but also liberating in a sense. Like you said, you lean into what the obstacle is, you learn. It doesn't kill you, it just makes you stronger. And so my relationship with money has changed. I'm learning increasingly that it's not about money; it's about value. It's about when you only have 6 eggs in the refrigerator, um, each egg is much more valuable, right? And so it's about what you can do with the eggs.
Beautiful. I learned one thing recently. I was reading a book. I also meditate a lot, so I was reading a book on meditations, and he said the luxury of the wealth is that now I'm able to go within. I have the time and the freedom to deep sit with myself and go within and taste the nectar of life. That's the luxury of my wealth.
Yes, beautiful. And I would add, I think, to help others, right? There's many different traditions, spiritual traditions, have this notion of service to others, right? To the bodhisattva in certain faith traditions, tikkun olam, repairing the world in the Jewish faith tradition, and others, right? Like I love the Saint Francis prayer, right? It's a beautiful, like, so being of service to others, in a sense, is an enormous wealth, and it requires no material wealth, right? Like at all. You can just you can focus your yourself on doing the next right thing for others.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. And that happens, the door to self-improvement and the door to do some contribution for others open when you're going deep within that deep within that, yes, you know what? I have been blessed to have so much. Now it's time that I give back. So yes, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yes.
Yeah, love that.
What has entrepreneurship taught you that the law school never taught you?
Um, you don't need permission. I don't know why, Amit, but as a young lawyer, I think I always had an aptitude for uh, the law, and before I became a lawyer, I was a paralegal for a big San Francisco law firm, and the partners in that firm said, "You should go to law school. You've got an intuitive aptitude for this." And so I did, and it felt like the needle hitting the record. It just made music. It made sense. But the one thing, like I said, about the culture of the law, or maybe this is just me, is I always thought that I needed permission to do, am I um and I find the most effective entrepreneurs are not asking for permission. They're just doing it, right?
Yeah. Tell us a story about it, Alan. So, yes, so lawyers, especially when they're working in-house or law firm, they're seeking permission from their boss. One of the lawyers I was interviewing on my podcast, he didn't go to his son's birthday party because he couldn't ask his partner, "Hey, can I leave early today?" He couldn't take the permission from his because his partner was working there. So he said, "How can I go and ask him, hey, can I leave early today?" He did not ask, and he could not reach his son's birthday party. Lawyers are constantly seeking permissions and validations, and and as and the partner would have said yes to him. It's
Yes.
just that he didn't have the courage to go and ask a permission from him.
So
Uh,
some I'm sorry to interrupt, but some of the best leaders I've worked for, you just reminded me of the first in-house job I had. I was working for a general counsel of a company called Inktomy, and he was from, Wilson Sonsini, Goodrich, and Rosati. He was a brilliant young lawyer, right? 5 years younger than me. And one of the most powerful things that Tim did for us as a team was he gave us permission to wear the business affairs hat. He said, "I want you to help as the legal team bake better business deals." It was incredibly powerful.
and permission to fail. I think
Right.
as leaders, it's very important for us to give permission to fail to our people. You know what? We have permission to fail. If you have permission to fail, that means you have permission to try new things. Otherwise, you will not try new things and you will not fail, and you continue to keeping being in the lane without trying different things.
How can we learn if you don't make a mistake? Yeah.
So let's switch our gear to AI.
Yeah.
Um, you have seen the world without AI and the world with AI. Tell us about how and let's say drafting, let's say contract drafting or patent drafting or so many drafting skills. Drafting is not a skill anymore. You can check what the AI is giving you. Do you believe drafting is not a skill anymore?
I actually don't. I
Okay.
think that drafting is still a skill, and I have to tell you, I have a beginner's mindset about AI, right? I'm still learning, and I bet there are younger lawyers who are listening to us right now who know more about it than I do. I'm just going to give that out there right now. I mean, people like Jamie Tso and the legal quants, these are brilliant young lawyers who are just rolling up their sleeves, getting their hands dirty, and building, right? And so they probably know a lot more about this than I do. The one thing Peter Sheets taught me, that guy made me cry because before I brought him a contract that was for this very complex corporate deal. And my first draft, I guess he thought was terrible. And he threw it back to me. I literally went back to my office and cried. But I will tell you that the what that exercise taught me was how important every promise, every covenant in that contract was, and um, how to architect and edit more effectively. I mean, honestly, Amit, AI, it's only going to draft as well as you tell it to draft, right? I mean, markdown files give the tool the direction it needs to draft the way we want it to, right? So again, this is the thing about AI. When AI was coming out, my mother was still alive and she was really worried about it. And she said, I worry about this. I said, I get it. Like when atomic energy was first harnessed by humanity, at first we harnessed it for this awful, horrific, for weaponry, right? But my mother was a breast cancer survivor for a while. One of the things we harnessed atomic energy for, too, was to harness it into a laser beam to focus it on breast cancer tumors to kill breast cancer tumors. So you can take a tool and apply it for something terrible, or you can use your values to apply it for something really beautiful and healing.
Hmm.
It's up to you.
Absolutely. And since your mother was worried about AI, what worries you about AI?
Um, it is moving so fast. Um, there are people who are more knowledgeable than I am, like the head of Anthropic, right? Who are concerned about some of their most recent, you know, frontier models and the power that they have. And so, are we creating ethical, values driven guardrails for the implementation, for the application? Um, I suppose that's my greatest, AI is getting so capable that I mean, I'm working with it now to create agentic workflows. It's all about the guardrails. It's all about the harness, right? As a lawyer. And I think we as humans are going to have to think uh, more and more about the harness
Hmm. Hmm.
as we continue to build.
How will the job of general counsels and lawyers will change with AI?
That's also a great question. I think increasingly we're still going to be managing people and relationships, but increasingly managing technology to manage risk. I think. Um,
And who will train younger lawyers now?
I still believe we have to. We're just going to be training them with different tools, but the values are the same, right? Like what I want, the quality of the deliverable, um, and the substance of what we're aiming for. You know, a lot of this was done in practice for me as I was learning what are the subtleties in an indemnity clause, right? Um, I had more senior lawyers teach me that in real time. I'm still doing that with younger practitioners. Uh,
So what according to you, like what human skills will be more valuable now?
the human skills that are more valuable are empathy, compassion, um, humor, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Um, I have to think more about that.
Mm. If you had to start your career, Alan, now in 2026, like you restarting your career in 2026, how would you start your career in 2026?
I would absolutely not wait for permission to try new things. I would just do what Jamie Tso and some of these other younger associates are doing, which are just throw yourself into the tools and use them and learn as much as
In
you
the
can.
past as well, were you seeking your own permission or were you seeking a permission from somebody else?
I was doing both, but I thought I needed permission from my seniors, right? I wanted to impress others.
Mm. Hmm. And if you had to go back to your younger self, would that the advice you would give yourself?
Um,
Stop seeking permission, start doing
yeah,
more.
yeah, just jump in,
Mm,
just have fun.
mm. Nice. Um, so what's your take on AI? Is it gonna take jobs or is it gonna create more jobs? If you pick one.
Um, I th- I th- you know, right now it's creating more jobs. It's also disrupting and displacing. I mean, it is dislocating. Um, I think in the legal field, it's it's ultimately going to create more jobs for those of us who are agile.
Why do you feel so?
Um, because, like I said, judgment, human judgment, and applying the knowledge in a particular use case is still a very subtle thing, right? That I'm not sure I'm seeing, AI tackle that yet.
Mm. And there's so many theories coming from OpenAI, coming from Anthropic, coming from Elon Musk. So many people talking about AI gonna take over the world and this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. What is your view since you're working with one of the top six, seven companies, OpenAI? What's your view on AI? Where are we heading towards?
Um, you know, I don't pretend to have an answer to that. I think that I think I'm probably not the right, I don't know is the honest answer, right?
And what does the gut say about it?
I think that we're still we're all going to have jobs if we're willing to. continue to work, right? To continue to be active and engaged and seeking to create value for others and be open to learning.
Hmm. Yeah. If a general counsel is watching this show right now, uh, what advice would you give them? What 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 mistake you would urge them not to make?
Not to make. Um, yeah, it my my understanding of the role, take this with a huge grain of salt, is that it's all about trust, right? The reason why my clients have put me in that chair is because they trust me to be the legal counselor to help them navigate the the legal issues, to help them manage that, right? So it's not about the tools, it's about trust. Um, and that's why I'm in that chair. That's why I'm customer facing in the negotiation. They trust me to be uh, a member of the team.
Mm. I learned from somebody that trust is built in drops and lost in buckets.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
We
I love
get
that.
build trust over a period of time, and it's very easy to lose it. You do something wrong, you lose it in buckets. So yes, I
Yes.
I think trust is more important tools. It takes time to build it though, and you definitely have built trust so many beautiful companies that you have worked with so far. And Alan, thank you so much for beautiful discussion today. I think all your answers were very thoughtful and thought provoking and came from a massive wisdom of last 35 years of your work with yourself, with your so many clients, and so grateful that you could come on the show and share your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I've loved it. Thanks so much, Amit.
Thank you very much.